Hello guys, TavHD here and welcome back to another video, and today I need to get the Mac Pro out from in here. As you can see, there are two Mac desktops in there. There is a Mac Pro and also a Power Mac G5. Now if you saw a couple of months ago, I bought a Mac Pro off eBay. It was being listed as a Power Mac, but I knew it was a Mac Pro, and that is the machine which you can see just there. So today we're going to get it out, see if it still works, and then depending on whether it does or not, that will then change my plans for this machine in the future. So depending on whether it does work or not, I will discuss the future plans for this machine. So if you don't remember, this is a 2008 machine. Bought it as a Power Mac and also as not working. As far as I can tell, it works just fine, but since that video I have of course had it apart, cleaned it all and put it back together. Now after I put it back together, I just dumped it in this room and never tried it again. So I have no clue whether I actually broke it by taking it apart or not. So that's something we are going to find out today. Now my concern about it not working is because of how much I had to take this thing apart. I took the graphics card apart, I took the power supply out, I had to unplug all the cables, had to pull pretty much everything out. It's very possible that I broke something, so I guess today we're going to see whether this thing still works. I guess I'm going to have to somehow try and pull it out of my storage room and where it currently is. Now the main reason I've not made a follow-up video about this machine any sooner than I am doing is because once a machine ends up in this storage room, it takes a lot of effort to get it out. I really need to do something with this room, but that I guess is for another day. But that's what I always say, and that's why it's still a mess. But let's just try and get this computer out. So I've moved the things off the top of it, so hopefully it should just be able to slide out. Yep, very snug fit between it and the Power Mac, so let's just hope it doesn't get scratched. But yep, here we go, nearly out, yep, there we go, I've got it out of the gap. I'm gonna go put this in my office. Okay, so I have managed to somewhat successfully extract this from its resting place in my storage room, and of course you can tell this is the same one from that video because it's got a weird dent up here which stops both the optical drive bays from working properly. So if I do end up sliding them down, they won't go back up. That one's completely stuck now, and now that one is stuck down, but oh well. And also it is kind of wobbly. It somewhat got bent in shipping, but not as bad as these things usually do. The foot is starting to come off slightly, but compared to how these things usually end up after being shipped, this one is looking pretty good. In this bag on top are the drive sleds. I didn't put those back in. Can't actually remember why. I think mainly just because of how horrible these things look. Now, they do look dirty, but they aren't. It's just the way they go over time. The coating goes funny, and they kind of go a funny colour and get a weird texture to them. They're not dirty, I have cleaned them, but they do still kind of look dirty. Then also, here is the official power cable. It's the one that sits flush into the back of the machine. So of course, since this was last on camera, I have given it a good clean. It's still not perfect. I haven't done the outside of the machine very well. I'm mostly focused on the inside. So speaking of the inside, let me turn this around and let's take a look at the inside. Okay, so let's open this thing up. One thing which I did discover when cleaning this is that the handle to unlock the side panel is quite stiff. I think at some point somehow it's managed to get a bit bent, but for now it still works just fine. So I'll move the panel off to the side, then let's just take a quick look inside. So there's not really too much to say about the inside of here. It's a lot cleaner than it was when I first got the machine. If you saw the original video, you saw how rancid it was, but now it is looking pretty clean. And since cleaning it, I haven't turned it back on. I've put everything back in how it was. There is still some dust loitering, but still better than it was when I got it. So, and I guess it's probably got a better chance now of working than it ever did because there is so much less dust. But in the previous video, I took the RAM cards out, then put them back in, then only 2 out of the 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM was being detected. I don't know if that is still an issue. Maybe taking it out, cleaning it properly and putting it back in has now fixed that issue, so I guess when we turn this thing on in a moment, that can be something we can look at. But yeah, there's not really anything to see in here. It's clean now and I shouldn't get any diseases from it. Alright, so here is the machine. I have plugged it in and it is now connected up to my cinema display up there. I should apologise for the state of my carpet. Number one, the carpet is rancid at the best of times, but it does need cleaning in here also, so apologies for that. So we're going to try turning it on to make sure that it still does work, but it never did come with a hard drive in it. So when I was testing it, I used this external drive. This is the internal drive which originally came in the 2012 Mac Mini. Now I do not own the 2012 Mac Mini anymore. I have now successfully sold it, but I sold it with the SSD in it, so I do still have the original drive. Now this drive has, I believe, a Catalina install on it, as well as a Lion install, so we are going to boot off the Lion install to make sure that this machine is still working. I've managed to do that before, so if this thing is still behaving itself, I should be able to do that again today. So I'll plug the drive in, and then we will see if this thing will boot. Of course, this machine does only have USB 2 ports, so it won't be quick, but it should still work. So I'll get the keyboard, I'll press the power button, then hold down Alt, then we should get to the boot menu, then I can select the drive. Ah. So that wasn't very good. The fans just ramped up really loud. However, it did do that when I first got it. Before I made the video, I did just have a bit of a mess with it to make sure it wouldn't catch fire. And it did do that a couple of times before I got it to behave itself. So I completely forgot about that, to be honest. But maybe there's an underlying thing where that just happens sometimes. But I'm honestly not too sure whether something I've done inside has made that happen this time or whether that's just something that it does anyway. But nothing came up on the display and there wasn't any sort of flashing or anything, but let's just try that again. Alright, so the fan doesn't seem to be spinning up really loud, but nothing is showing up on the display. The drive has absolutely no activity at all, it's not spinning at all, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But yeah, nothing showing up on the display. I've got no control over the keyboard, none of the lights are coming on. So even if I wanted to get into the boot menu right now, I don't think that's going to happen. Let's turn that off again. Let's try it one more time. I just heard a little bong. I just heard it bong. The light is now flashing on the drive and up on the screen it's now actually doing something. Okay, so as you can see, I do now have an Apple logo. I think it is trying to boot. So that whole weird thing where the fans spin up, maybe that's just because it couldn't find a boot drive. It did do it last time, as I have already said, but then after that it seemed to work every time. So maybe just because it's been a while, it's done that again, but now the screen has gone black again. And I've lost activity from the drive, so I'm going to turn it off again. You could probably hear that the fans did just spin up again, but let's try that one more time. It did just bong again. So let's just see. Let's go into, so it's Mountain Lion on here, not Lion. Let's see, does the mouse work? Yep, the mouse works, so does the keyboard. Let's try and boot into Mountain Lion. Of course, this has worked before, so I would expect it to work again. But then again, it was sold as spares or repair not working, so who knows, maybe I just got lucky last time and filmed it on a good day where it was working. Maybe usually it doesn't. I guess we'll just have to see. Okay, so the screen has just gone black again. It did progress a bit further with the spinny wheel thing, but I'm guessing that the fans are now going to spin up. Yeah, the fans are now going quicker again. I'm sure you can hear that. Let's just kill that quickly. So that's not particularly good. Okay, so there's a couple of things I'm going to try. The first of which is to try booting with no drive attached. By doing that, we should get a flashing folder with a question mark indicating that there is no boot drive. And if it still does the silly fan things with no drive attached, then I'm guessing there's something wrong with the actual machine. But if it doesn't do it with the drive not attached, maybe it's a driver issue with the drive that I'm trying to boot from. It is, of course, from a newer machine, not a machine this machine is familiar with at all. So maybe it's that which is being the problem. But let's just turn it back on now. Excuse the foot. I just heard it bong again, and yet again something is coming up on the screen, as you can see over there. Okay, so we've just got a white screen so far. There is nothing for this to boot from. So it will indicate some sort of workingness of the machine if it does come up with a flashing folder. So I'm guessing this might... there we go. There we go. So now it knows that nothing is installed on this, which is a good sign, I suppose. So let me try reattaching that drive again. Maybe it's just bad drivers on that drive. I'm really not too sure, but because it seems to be behaving just fine right now. I'm guessing by now it would have done its silly thing and cut itself off, but looks to be working just fine right now. I've just connected up the external drive, and without even having to reboot the machine, an Apple logo has come up, so it's instantly recognised that the drive has been plugged in. Let's now see what this thing does. Again, we've got a spinny wheel indicating that something is going on. Screen's gone black again. There we go, the fans are starting going. Yeah. This thing isn't happy. Let's just see if I don't intervene whether it will somewhat fix itself or do anything. It has spun down the drive, so I will unplug that. Lost control of the keyboard, so it seems to have just completely given up and thrown everything out. So I'm guessing it's also just disconnected itself from the monitor, because it can, maybe if it had stayed connected something would have come up, but yeah, this thing's now just going at full blast and I can't control it through the keyboard or the mouse or the hard drive. So yeah, let's turn this off. Alright, it's now off. Okay, so I've taken the side panel off. I'm going to let it boot up again, this time without the side panel on. There was no flashing LED on the front to indicate a problem, but something might flash in here. So it's worth a go just turning this thing on without the side on, just to see if anything does flash in here. So there is a light on the bottom RAM card. Can't see if there is one on the top because that one is in upside down. But let's just see, the screen is coming on. It looks like it is booting again from the drive. I'm not sure what that one light means on that RAM card, so I'm guessing if this crashes again, I'll just have a quick Google to see if that means anything. Okay, there we go, there we go. The fans are now going loud again. That definitely sounds louder now with the side panel off, but yeah, let's kill that again for a moment. There we go, that's now off. So I think on each RAM card there are 4 little red LEDs, and from the quick 30 seconds of looking on Google, it looks like on Google that it does mean there is some sort of error. Maybe there isn't an error and I've just read it completely wrong, but it looks like having a light on there means that there is some sort of error, maybe with the RAM, and that could indicate why only 2 GB of it was showing up in the system when the system was booting. But I don't think I'm going to bother with that today. I've not got much time, and I think that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it for today. I'm guessing there will be a troubleshooting video on this machine, just like there will be troubleshooting videos on both the eMac and the £10 PowerBook at some point too. So it looks like some of my computers aren't really behaving themselves, but are they to blame for that, or is that my silly fault for buying them as spares or repairs or untested? I'm not really knowing what's going on. I don't know, it's probably my fault, but at least I can make some sort of videos out of it, so that is where I'm going to leave it for today. Does the 2008 Mac Pro still work? No. Did it ever work? Well, it seemed to, not to start with, but then it did, and now it's not again. So I'm guessing maybe there's just something wrong with that RAM card. I guess we'll just have to see in a future video. So I'm guessing that will be it for now. I was going to talk about some of my future plans for this machine. I was going to max out the RAM, get a better graphics card, install an SSD, install the latest version of macOS that you can do with a patcher. There were lots of things I was going to try and do with this machine, but it looks like that will now be on hold for a little while I work out what's going on with this machine. Maybe the logic bud's completely dead and I will just have to give up. Luckily this machine wasn't that expensive, I think about £40, so that wouldn't be a great loss if it did just completely die. It would be unfortunate, but not the end of the world, and I don't think I'd bother getting replacement parts for it. It would probably just be cheaper to buy a whole other Mac Pro if that's something I really wanted to do. I doubt I would get another one, but I suppose I could if I really wanted to. But that will now be it for this video. Unfortunately it would not boot. Hopefully we can get it to boot in the future, but for now it will just stay like this. So thank you for watching this video. Nothing really happened, but there we are. This is just something which happens sometimes. Electronics don't always work, and that's what I'm trying to show. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be troubleshooting something else. So thank you again for watching. I will see you then. Goodbye.